We're going to go ahead and finish out this session by talking about pattern matching. So we have a command called awk, A-W-K, and it's a pattern matching and data manipulation tool. And by data we mean text and numbers. Okay. So it predates Perl. It is installed on the Unix systems and is often used in combination with shell scripts. Awk uses a group of instructions called pattern. So patterns are applied to records, and records are blocks of data separated by a new line or any character defined in the RS variable. We also have fields, which is strings in a record separated by a space or any character defined in the FS variable. Okay, so we have an example of that here. So awk is one of the most powerful tools in Unix and is used for processing rows and columns in a file. Awk has a built-in string function and associated arrays, and awk supports most of the operators, conditional blocks, and loops. So the basic syntax of awk is as follows. So we have awk, single quote, we have the begin part of it, which is the starting action inside of curly braces. Then we have the action inside of curly braces. Then we have to hit or enter end, and then we have the stop action inside curly braces, and then the file name that it's processing, okay? So here the actions in the block, in the begin block, are performed before processing the file, and the actions in the end block are performed after processing the file. The rest of the actions are performed while processing the file. So here we have that example. So in this example, we're going to see how to execute the awk script within a file, and we're going to create a file, sum column, and paste the below script in that file, okay? So we have that here. I'm going to go ahead and go to our virtual box. I'm going to type up that script. Okay, I'm going to clear my screen. I'm going to do sum column. Alright, so I'm going to do vim sum underscore column because I'm creating the file. Okay, I'm going to do insert. I'm going to do that hash pling or shebang at the beginning. Oops. Oh, that's because, okay. That's because I didn't do .sh. So slash usr slash bin slash awk dash f. I'm going to do begin sum equals 0. And then I'm going to do sum equals sum plus $5. I'm going to do end, which is print sum. Do a right quit on this. I'm going to make it executable. Okay. And now I'm going to execute the script using the awk command. So I'm going to do awk -f. I'm going to execute the sum column. Actually, before I do that, I want to show you something. So we're executing this on a file called input file. I'm going to cat input file. And that input file is simply just the output of df-h, okay? So what awk is going to do is it's going to grab this fifth column here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this use column here, okay? So it's going to take that fifth column and only display what's in that column, and it's going to add everything up and give us a sum, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and clear my screen. I just wanted to show you what it's doing. So it's going to take only this fifth column here, add it all up, and give us a sum. So we're going to do awk -f sum underscore column, and then input file. There you go, 773. Okay, so added all of this up here, which came out to 773. Notice it didn't give it to us as a percentage. It just gave us the straight number. So that ran the script in sum column file and displayed the sum of the fifth column in the file input file. Okay, guys, a little bit more useful way of using awk is to actually just use it on the command line. So I'm going to show you something similar here. So we have the df-h command, right? Say I only want the info in this fifth column here. I just want to see this fifth column here. I don't want to see all this other stuff. I just want to see the fifth column. Well, I can do a df-h. I can pipe that into the awk command. I can say single quote, curly brace, print $5, and in this case, that means the fifth column in the curly brace, single quote, and there you go. It just gives me the fifth column there, as you can see, right? So that's super handy, guys. And as I said in that command, I can also do 4 or 3. And it's just going to give me the third column, the fourth column, whatever column you like. That's typically more what awk is used for, is to print certain columns or maybe edit certain columns. So let's talk about complex pattern combinations. There's something called Perl. And this is the most used scripting language for web CGI applications and system administrator tasks. So Perl is harder to learn and is usually installed by default now. It is more efficient and has an enormous library of functions available. You could use Perl for almost all scripting tasks, but the syntax is very different than shell command line. So we're not going to talk too much about Perl right now, but just be familiar with it and know that it exists. So now we're going to move on to tilde expansion. We're going to briefly touch on this as well. So if a word begins with an unquoted tilde character, all of the characters up to the first unquoted slash are considered a tilde prefix. If none of the characters in the tilde prefix are quoted, the characters in the tilde prefix following the tilde are treated as a possible login name. If this login name is the null string, the tilde is replaced with the value of the home shell variable. If home is unset, the home directory of the user executing the shell is substituted instead. Otherwise, the tilde prefix is replaced with the home directory associated with the specified login name. Okay, so that was a lot of info, guys. All this is saying is that when we use tilde, usually it's going to use the home directory or home variable of the user. If that variable doesn't exist or isn't set, it's just going to default to whatever user executed the tilde. Okay, so real quick, all that's saying is I'm going to echo the home variable, which is home/Kevin. Okay, so let's say I cd to desktop. Okay, so you'll see, let me clear my screen. So you'll see the current directory in is home Kevin desktop. If I do a cd tilde, it's going to take me to the home directory, which in this case was home/Kevin, right? Well, let's see. Sure enough, it took me to home Kevin. Okay, so that tilde is just a shortcut to that home variable. Okay, so that can be useful when you're in a script and you want to just create a shortcut to the home variable or just reference that home variable. That's typically how tilde is going to be used when we're writing scripts, or even when we're just surfing around our file systems. So in summary, guys, we talked about comparing popular shells, Corn shell compatibility for Bash, Corn and Bash shell advantages, Corn and Bash shell disadvantages, versions of current shell, Corn shell and Bash, shell command syntax, comments, continuing command on multiple lines, special characters, pattern matching, complex pattern combinations, and tilde expansion. Next session, we're going to go over process priority, background jobs, signals, traps, debug and exit, K-shell coprocessing, Bash coprocessing, pausing, time and date, scheduling execution, run commands later, and aliases. If you feel you need a little bit of extra help, go ahead and follow these links and check out our private tutoring sessions for system administrator management. There are weekly and monthly plans available, as well as Linux and Bash scripting private tutoring sessions. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. Looking forward to seeing you in session 2 of this course.